go bowling. I had like maybe 6 frames in a row where I got a strike or a spare, which was really awesome. I kind of blew it on the other ones though, so I ended up with like a 148 or something.
I think last time I bowled, I got a 67.
Yeah, that's pretty bad.
I'm a terrible bowler.
That's pretty bad.
Yeah.
Jen would have beat you.
It's probably 15 years ago. Well, it sounds like the music is playing us in. Welcome to the Video Reformation Podcast.
Welcome.
I am Ben Oliver.
Yes, you are.
And you
are Justin Plant.
Yes.
Am.
You want to try that again?
I'm Justin.
I'm Ben.
Great.
And we're the co-founders of Storyboard Media, your hosts here for the Video Reformation Podcast. Today we're going to be talking about video for customer success. Before we do that, a couple housekeeping items. One, if I've done my math correctly, this episode will be released on Monday, November 25th.
Mm-hmm.
That means...
What's the significance of that?
That's that's my last day in my 30s.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're listening to this on the day it was released, which, let's be honest, I think your mom is the only one who does that. She's the first one to like or comment on most of our social posts.
Yeah.
So this is, depending on whether you're listening on the day it's released or someday after, this is either the last day of my 30s or I suppose if it's promotion day, the first day of my 40s. So big ol' happy birthday to me.
Yeah, I'm going to hold off until it's actually your birthday because right now it's still like a month out.
Right, yeah. I don't want to monopolize. I mean, yesterday was David's birthday.
Yep.
And I don't want to take any. And then Anthony's got a pretty big milestone birthday coming up in a couple of weeks. He'll be 30 on, I think, November 1st.
He's so mature for a 29-year-old.
He is. So happy birthday to me. And then we're going to do something a little bit different with our sponsor this time and probably from now on. So I just want to quickly mention our new sponsor for this week. Welcome to Rounding Second Heavy Petting Zoo. We will hear more about our ad from them later in the episode, so make sure you stick around for that.
Meow.
Yeah, on to our topic of the day here, video for customer success. So, big picture, this kind of fits in where we tend to see video as an opportunity for kind of the revenue teams being marketing, sales, and customer success. Mm-hmm. We've talked about some general video marketing stuff. I think every episode we do has a lot of marketing.
Mm-hmm. A lot of marketing, a lot of sales.
Yeah. And we've talked specifically some already about sales and how to utilize video in sales. And we haven't really touched a whole lot on customer success. So we feel like after finishing our time through the 7 phases, it's time to make sure that we hit on kind of that third. And those aren't the only applications for video.
Of course not. HR, recruiting,
training, internal comms, all those kinds of things. We tend to focus on marketing, sales, customer success as those 3 kind of core revenue teams.
Why would you say that customer success is a revenue team?
Well, I think they're ultimately responsible for a number. I think there's 2 angles to customer success. One is managing churn and keeping customers from leaving, whether it's putting out fires or managing relationships, especially since so many things are subscription model now.
Right.
I mean, a lot of the thinking about a subscription model is you get someone to commit to it and then they forget that they're doing it.
Yeah.
But you almost need to look at it like every month you have to sell them, because any month they could decide, I don't want to use this service or product anymore. And then I think the other part is, and this is the more common side, is those upsell opportunities with customers. So keeping customers from leaving minimizes a loss of revenue, but then upselling existing customers, whether it's upgrading them to another level of service or selling them additional products, depending on what type of business you're doing, those existing relationships are oftentimes the lowest hanging fruit because they've already committed to your product or service. And so oftentimes it's easier to land and expand. Get in at one point in the company and then expand within that company until your product or service is fully utilized throughout that company is best case scenario. What about advocacy?
Forget video for a second. Just having great customer success teams builds quite a following for customers, people who aren't customers, being able to recommend that you go check out Storyboard Media because you're just a fan of who they are. There's opportunities for revenue. So much of our sales are through networking and people we know, and so that's huge for us. Is to be we'll talk later about some of the ways that we use video actually in-house for in the customer success world. And I think that sets us apart, and it creates fans, it creates engagement with our clients.
Yeah.
We at least haven't gotten any bad feedback on it.
Well, that's true. We've gotten a lot of non-feedback. We've gotten some good feedback too.
Yeah.
So when I started to think about how to kind of wrap my head around the opportunities for video for customer success, the first thing that popped out at me is, just generally speaking, how video is so good for, and this may sound like a cop-out now that I'm figuring out how to say it out loud, but like video is so good for anything repeatable. If you've got a message that you need to tell multiple times, you've got to scale it, but it's the same message every time. Like frequently asked questions, or a standard onboarding template, or like how-tos, or a demo, or all those kinds of things. There are, video is a great way to just basically script out what you want to say, capture it. You've got the opportunity to show and tell, which we're going to get into. So it's fantastic for anything repeatable. But I think it's also, and we've talked about this in sales, it's also great for those one-to-one conversations. And it really allows you to put a face to like a support ticket or something like that. So whether it is onboarding a new client and using video to walk them through certain features, whether it's a live video chat kind of thing, or if there's a series of like step-by-step videos to onboard someone, having like a screenshot and a face and those kinds of things, even if it's custom and one-off, video is a great way to do that without having to actually be in the same room with someone.
Right, because not only is it something that saves you time as the customer success agent, but it also lets your clients do it on their time.
Right.
You don't have to schedule a 4:00 meeting or screen share or anything. They can watch it at home on the can.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's where I watch most of my onboarding videos. And then, it's there to, again, kind of humanize a support ticket, for example. So if I can't tell you how many times I'll send a support message through a form on a site. You get an automated email response that says, "We've received your message. We'll get back to you in 24 to 36 hours," or what. Fine. And then they get back to me. It's this long email that's just been written out by someone. I mean, it'd be so much more engaging if somebody just popped on their webcam and said, "Hey, Ben, thanks so much for the ticket. Totally something we've dealt with before. Let me walk you through how to get through this, or let me add some videos to this playlist." Right. And walk you through this. That would be so much more engaging. And yes, you get to do it on your own personal time, but instead of being like ticket number 127653, all of a sudden it's Ben and Justin, having this conversation back and forth.
Yeah. Instead of just sending you to a knowledge base where then you have to kind of poke around. And I feel like knowledge bases rarely have exactly my concern.
I feel like knowledge bases have gotten worse over the last couple of years.
Yeah. It's like somebody made the equivalent of a whiteboard video for knowledge bases, and everyone's like, "Oh, we just need whatever that is." And it's like a template that everyone's using. It just doesn't feel helpful.
Okay. So does that sound like a way to kind of structure this? Is we'll kind of jump into the repeatable and scalable things first, and then we'll kind of dive into the one-on-ones?
Sure. Yeah, it makes sense.
All right. So let's the first thing that comes to my mind for kind of that scalable stuff. Let's talk a little bit about FAQs.
Okay.
So virtually every website that you go on now of any kind of scale, even super small businesses, have a frequently asked questions section. 99.8% of the time, those are text-based pages.
Yep.
Talk to me a little bit about how video can change that experience.
First off, just from an engagement standpoint, people are going to be more interested in pressing play than they are going to be scrolling down and reading the whole thing. So that alone. But with video, you have the opportunity to show and tell, and which creates a lot of efficiencies for the viewer and for the producer, the company who's making these FAQ videos. So, and like you said before, being able to put a face to these, even if it's just 5-second intro of Sally from customer success, it's connecting with that person on a different level than it is just saying, here, read this, figure it out.
Yeah. It also occurs to me, too, that I think FAQs are kind of used in two separate ways. There's the marketing purpose for FAQs, which is kind of like a customer self-education piece. And video certainly helps for that. But since this episode is about customer success, then there's kind of like, whether it is your knowledge base or your help center or whatever, most of them still have then kind of a frequent issues, frequently asked questions kind of thing that, is something more specifically geared toward people who are actually using the product. How do I sign up? How do I log in? How do I, all those things that are asked over and over. And it's real easy to come up with that list. If you don't already have a list of frequently asked questions, if you're getting into like building a video content map for your customer success department, FAQs are the easiest way to go. So even if you don't have an FAQ section, just run a search of your most popular support tickets, and then see what, top 10 questions are most frequently asked, and then figure out what is the kind of lowest common denominator, what answers all of those scenarios for each of those questions, and then there you've got 10 videos for customer success that you didn't have before, and you're well on your way.
And I think it may come as a surprise to some people who aren't very used to producing video, but I think making FAQ videos are easier than writing out the 10 steps and showing screenshots and circling things, because you can fly through the screen. You just need a screen recording app, QuickTime. QuickTime, which every Mac comes with. Has a screen record. Does it even have a camera option? I don't remember.
Probably.
But that right there gets you 10 free customer, FAQ videos in probably 2 hours. And you can, instead of having to write everything out word for word, you can kind of just work through it and show people and say, and then you'll see this thing down here. It's kind of a green color. When it's written out, it's a lot harder to clarify that sort of thing.
You'd have to write out every word. You'd have to go and screenshot certain sections, embed those screenshots.
Open up Microsoft Paint and circle the little green thing.
Right. I miss Paint.
Yeah. That was like the only thing to do with your computer before the internet.
Yeah. Anything else on FAQs?
I'm sure.
Okay.
We'll come up with it as time comes.
In fact, FAQs are such a great way to get started too, that we even have one. I don't want to seem too self-promotional here, but like we've even got one of our video initiatives is an FAQ package, where basically we go in and identify those opportunities for a client, and we then plan out, write, and shoot and edit that content and help them. And
even do, like, if you're a Zendesk user, there's a great integration with Vidyard and some of their video support tools that can just build right into your Gmail, your support ticket system. It's a really cool system. So if you're wondering, if you have any questions about it, I'd be happy to kind of show you around there.
Yeah, you've been talking to Zendesk a lot lately. So
yeah, they have an amazing agency partner. Yeah.
I think it's, when you think about FAQs, from a revenue standpoint, I think it does a couple things. One, it goes to giving your customers that information so that they can self-help and solve the problems that they have, so that they won't leave when their next monthly billing comes up or whatever that scenario is. But it also, from a customer success team management point, the better educated your customers are, and the more you're proactively giving them information on how to solve certain issues, the less they're creating new support tickets.
Sure. Yeah.
So you can actually take your customer service staff and put them on your bigger problems, your bigger clients, whatever those things are, so that they've got the time not answering every single question that's coming in, because there's this great library of already available. Because how great would it be even to just get a support ticket from someone and say, Justin, thanks for your email. This is a pretty common problem. Let me direct you to our FAQ, this FAQ video. If this doesn't solve your problem, let me know. But then it could just be taken care of. So there is some one-on-one.
Sure.
Or it's just that customer goes and finds it, they solve their problem, and then they never even have to reach out to customer service. You're still providing that customer service, even if it's passive from, in terms of an engagement standpoint.
That's one of the scalability. Like, so we often work with a lot of growth stage companies. They are growing so fast, and the last department that gets any attention is customer success, because they're there to start. They're giving money to sales and engineering to build the product and sell the product, and customer success is looked at last. They have such a hard time managing this. And I was talking to a prospect probably a year ago now. They were so inundated by their own sort of attrition, people leaving the roles, so they'd have to do a lot of hiring and they need to grow and manage accounts. Like, we don't have time to do any of this video stuff because we're hiring and managing all these issues. If they didn't have to spend all of their time in a one-on-one scenario addressing questions that video could address, they could solve two problems at once.
Yeah. Honestly, that's one of the most interesting things that I find working with growth stage companies. Is it's oftentimes so crazy, and they're growing outside of their own control, that they don't have the time to take a breath and do those things on their own. And again, when you've got a solid video partner, who has worked with you in multiple business units and that kind of thing, I mean, the more that your video partner knows about you, the easier it's going to be to trust them to kind of take that on and just create something for you, so that you don't even have to take the breath.
Yeah. I mean, come on, you just closed a $100 million round.
Yeah.
Let's talk.
Can't put up $30,000 for a dozen FAQ videos. Okay. How about onboarding? I think onboarding is something that is one of those categories that actually fits in both categories. The kind of one-to-many, the scalable, repeatable, but it also is kind of that one-to-one. So let's talk about onboarding from a one-to-many. I think there's a lot of, especially anything app-based.
Yes.
If you've got any kind of like feature tour for new users, anything like that, being able to, this is what I'm talking about onboarding. It's that new customer, new user kind of opportunities. And so there are certain steps that you want customers to take, new customers to take, as they're building their account or setting up, whatever their user in this platform. And we've been through plenty of demos and beta versions of sites and things like that, where if you don't do the things in the right order, like, you're missing out on half of the functionality of the platform. And so if you're using something like a kind of a, what do they call those? It's a guide, but it's some kind of, like what Pendo does.
It's just like an onboarding tool.
Okay.
WalkMe does similar things. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah. So, those oftentimes allow you to integrate video so that you can actually, you can actually have that pop-up that says, all right, let's start here and put in your profile information.
Right.
And then you've got a little play button that you can click that then walks you through a screenshot, screen recording of how you actually enter your name and, all that stuff. And then great, now let's automatically move on to the next step and start uploading some files or, whatever that platform is doing. And that's going to take, even if you want to have a one-on-one aspect of onboarding, that's an opportunity to just save so much one-on-one time. Because even if you want to have a customer service or onboarding specialist guide every new client through that onboarding process, you can still guide them and then hand them a library or a playlist of certain videos that then, and like you said earlier, do on their own time,
right?
Instead of having to like schedule an hour. And so if you could imagine if you could get your onboarding specialist from, an hour per client of face-to-face real-time onboarding to like a 15-minute conversation where they're just giving them the tools and say, let me know if you have any questions.
Yep.
That means you could do 4 onboardings in an hour instead of the 1, and multiply that by how many people you have there to do onboardings. I mean, you can actually get through a lot more, a lot quicker, and then customer success can put the pressure on sales to go sell more, which so rarely is an opportunity for customer success departments to do.
We work with a lot of software companies too, right? And if your product takes some setting up, like imagine if you're like an email marketing software. One of the biggest concern, and I know this specifically because my friend's a sales engineer at an email marketing software company. One of their biggest concerns is time to value and decreasing the time to value. So what does that mean? That's how long does it take for the day that your client bought something to the day that they're seeing a return.
Okay.
The shorter that time to value is, the more appealing that product is to potential clients and the happier your customer is. So being able to get someone up and running with your product quickly is a very important thing. That's one of the main metrics of success in customer success these days.
Cool. Next on the list is how-tos. I don't know that they're necessarily any different than FAQs.
Yeah, I was gonna ask.
Yeah, like I said, some of the stuff just flowed out and it wasn't necessarily super well thought out. So how about product updates and new features?
Yeah, so we talk a lot about Vidyard. They do this every quarter. They'll send out their new features, or they'll launch their new features. And they'll launch them over time, but then every quarter they kind of catch you up. Here are some of the things we did this quarter, and they'll walk you through the changes they made to the platform. It's a really nice thing. It doesn't happen too frequently, but it's nice. Like if you read that they're changing or adding this feature, sometimes you don't know what that means, but when you see it actually done in real time within the platform, you're like, oh, that's super cool. I can just do this from my email now. Something like that. What do you remember ClickUp?
Yes, I do, and I was going to mention.
That's ClickUp. What are they? Project management tool?
Yeah.
We barely know because we didn't touch it, but our project manager did. She loves it. But they were so good about this. I would say it was probably every 10 to 20 days they released a feature. They would send all their users an email, and in that email was a thumbnail. It was a GIF, an animated GIF thumbnail with a play button on it that kind of gave you a little sneak preview of what that feature's about. So of course, yeah, you click it, you want to see what it is.
Yeah.
You go there.
You see now available Gantt charts.
Yeah.
And in the thumbnail, the animated GIF, you actually see building out a Gantt chart. Yeah.
Then you go watch that and you realize there's this cool new feature that you really want to use. It makes you a power user, and power users are advocates. They stick around, they spend more money, they make recommendations, and that's what the whole customer success thing is about.
I think Frame.io does a fantastic job of it too.
Yeah, they do. They make some really great videos.
Yeah, and they know their audience, right? I mean, they are selling primarily to video producers, whether they're in-house or agency or freelance video producers. So I think they know that they have to provide a certain production quality. Yeah. But you don't lose the benefits of the new features and the updates in the fact that it's a really good video. I mean, you can do a really like I think you were talking about before, you can do like a screenshot and a webcam kind of thing, or you can do something really nicely produced that that gets the attention of whoever your audience is too. But and maybe it doesn't go without saying, but we're always big on audience. Consider the audience, right? Well, what is it? And it's just as true for customer success as it is for sales, as it is for marketing.
Sure.
Okay. I'm going to throw the NPS section to you a little bit, because I know you've been doing a lot of work on some testing of kind of integrating video into getting some NPS results from customers.
So this is honestly just a quick background on this. What is NPS? NPS is Net Promoter Score. And that essentially is how likely are your customers to recommend this product to somebody else. And that's usually on a 1 to 10 scale. Vidyard has some really cool custom features. You can create custom events within the video, and you can put that event wherever you want, right? So let's say you want to create a link to a white paper and put that in the video. So when you're watching the video, someone can click on that actual link inside the video player and go to the white paper. And you can make that button pink and use this type of text, and whatever. You can put it wherever you want on the screen at any point in the video. So there's a lot of customization, and you can create your own code. So the NPS tool that we launched a while ago was honestly just my kind of land and expand opportunity. I thought, well, could I get some customer success people to start using video because of this NPS tool? My theory was that you would get more engagement because video is more engaging. You would get more engagement from this NPS tool using video. And because you had a smiling, happy face right before, and it might even be your customer success agent. If that face came up before you were asked to make your recommendation or what number you would rank them, you would get better results.
The thinking being that you're actually being asked by an individual who you have a relationship with to say, hey, how would you rank us or me on a scale of 1 to 10 instead of just this
email
text box in an email with your company's logo at the top. All of a sudden it's a 1-to-1, it's a personal,
very personal,
question,
right?
As opposed to another annoying email.
And so we, in the player, we created the question, and then 10 buttons or 11 buttons, and all those would anytime you sent that out. Let's say I send it to you, Ben. You click 9. You're that likely to recommend us.
What have you done for me to get a 9?
All that would go to a Google Doc that was custom for the client, and it would aggregate all that stuff. It would create the in real time accurate NPS score. You'd also be able to track who gave what recommendation, which if you have who you think is your most important customer and they click 2, you might want to get on the phone and start solving some problems.
Or even a 6.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's it's not I haven't seen this feature anywhere. I do think it's a really cool feature, especially with Zendesk having a Vidyard integration and free options there. That Zendesk and Vidyard were really helpful in getting things going and letting me offer some free some features that are usually paid to customers who wanted to test this out.
So what if anyone listening wants to test this out? What's the best way to try it?
Just call me or send me an email and we can talk to see if you have the right things in place or what we would need to do to create it. But that's since we're still testing it, we do that for free. So just love to kind of collect some more data and get some user feedback.
Yep. All right, and then looks like maybe you added a note, project management tool.
Yeah. So because our project manager is no longer here at the moment.
She's not dead.
No. She's raising a baby.
Yeah.
Yep. Good for her.
Running her own business.
We are very in touch with this particular part of.
We are necessarily involved in the project management of our current client's project.
Yes. On a weekly basis, we found that with project timelines always kind of shifting and there being a very waterfall approach to the project management in some cases where if we don't get feedback on something that for an extra week, that pushes a whole bunch of timelines because
Which happens all the time.
Yeah.
Every client. It's just part of the nature of this business.
And I'm sure it happens in other businesses too. There's probably some very common. So anyhow, we realized that we need to, if we're not sending emails and calling our clients every day or every couple of days, there needs to be at least one point in the week where we touch base and say, here's what we've been working on this week. here's what is happening next week, and here's what we need from you still. And we write that all out in text in bullet form, but the video that we create is basically us talking through some of that stuff and giving them some maybe a little bit more well-rounded information as opposed to just the plain text project update. And our clients always watch them.
Yep.
They watch 100% of them.
They may not watch them immediately, but they watch them within a couple days.
Yes. And we know that they've watched it, so we know that they're updated. We like to add something that's, along the lines with our brand. Ben, so I usually add in a fun fact or something like that. Ben's been doing deadpan dad jokes.
Yep.
And it's just a fun way to engage with our clients and remind them that we're people, we're fun, that this is all supposed to be fun. Like, video is a really fun thing.
Yeah.
And so it's been a great tool for us to stay connected to our clients and for them to engage with us on their own time.
We even had a client email us back a couple weeks ago because for some reason the video cut off before the punchline of the deadpan dad joke, and he was angry that he couldn't hear what the punchline was.
Yeah.
And pro tip, like, put that at the end. Like, give if they start to expect it, right, and they know that they're gonna hear, like, what's the stupidest dad joke that Ben can deliver deadpan this week, you're gonna listen to, like, project status, waiting for that little like roll of the eyes. I would even say that laugh.
Yeah.
But I think that's something that we've always done from day one. Is we want to entertain as much as we're educating and informing, and that's just our brand. It doesn't mean it's right for every brand.
Sure.
Whatever's right for you as a person, or you as your company as a brand, or even your business unit. I mean, that's how to use that. But
the engagement statistics are just so. It's just helpful to know that our clients are engaged.
Yeah, and it's a great way to share the message with a group of people too. Because if there are multiple levels of management involved in the project, it's a great way for the people who aren't involved in the day-to-day to just be kept informed of, one, whether we're doing our job on time, but also if the people who work for them are giving us what we need.
Yep.
And again, it's just all about engaging that audience, and the video tends to do that. Okay, so I think that's a good list of the kind of scalable options. Here is our sponsor break for this episode. Attention Raleigh-Durham. Rounding Second Heavy Petting Zoo, your favorite baseball-themed makeout facility, is coming soon to a sketchy part of town near you. Are you looking for a secure place away from home to make out? Still live with your mom? Indulging sinful impulses? Have a wife? Rounding Second Heavy Petting Zoo is the place for you. Looking to meet like-minded singles on site? Sign up for our fantasy draft program. Looking to get some pointers on how to ride that razor's edge between third base and full-on intercourse? Try our spring training program. Planning on visiting often? Sign up for our rewards program, the Hall of Fame. After 68 visits, you get the 69th free. Need the aid of a corked bat? We've now got sildenafil, the active ingredient in Viagra, for sale at our concession stands. Rounding Second Heavy Petting Zoo. Opening soon on that part of 70 between Raleigh and Durham that isn't Glenwood but also isn't Miami Boulevard yet. Where Tomcats used to be?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
Right, no, I don't know where that is. Rounding Second Heavy Petting Zoo.biz. All sildenafil purchases require a prescription from a legitimate doctor. Both legitimate and doctor are in quotes. And we can't stress this enough, folks. No animals allowed.
So I haven't been yet. Like, usually we do a really good job.
I've done it.
Trying these out.
Yeah.
But you told me a story about the fantasy league.
Yes.
Do you want to get into that at all?
I meant to tell you that in confidence.
Yeah.
It didn't
cross the line.
It's all dudes, and that's probably expected. But not a whole lot of women seem to be partaking. There's a lot of just showing up to the baseball themed heavy petting.
Yeah. I think that's because of the marketing. They had all girls on the marketing for the fantasy league, so guys showed up.
Yeah.
But if they put some of the guys in there, and some of them, like you show me your picks, I mean, some of them were attractive fellas.
Yeah, sure. If that's what you're looking for,
yeah,
then I say go. I think what they realize is that we have such a strong female audience on our podcast that this is like the first step of them starting to branch out. Also, they want, with this new location, I think it's their 16th location, but they're first in the triangle. And so,
Are they out of Kalamazoo?
Yeah, Kalamazoo,
Yep.
Michigan. Yeah, which is where you would imagine that something like this would start. So,
Yeah.
all right, well, welcome to our new sponsor, Rounding Second Heavy Petting Zoo. Okay, so we're back.
We're back.
And we're going to wrap up this conversation by talking about, one, we're talking about utilizing video and customer success. We've talked a little bit about how those scalable opportunities are there. Let's talk a little bit about kind of those one-to-one opportunities. We mentioned in the last bit that onboarding is one of those that fits in both categories. So we talked a little bit how to kind of scale and save time, but how have you seen video used successfully in kind of a one-to-one onboarding scenario?
Well, some of it is.
I guess the question is, have you seen?
I'm trying to think. I know that for some of the software we've had video onboarding,
Like
that
live.
were live meetings, yeah, and that's definitely very helpful where we can both be in the platform at the same time. The success agent is there, showing us where certain things are, how to upload things. So in that respect, yeah, I mean, we're not very, very much a live video company, but it was video being used, so that was very helpful. But I think whether it's onboarding or responding to support tickets, it gives you that opportunity because, let's say you're channel advisor, you're an e-commerce platform that helps people sell their items, their t-shirts, their shoelaces, whatever. There's so many intricacies that apply only to that particular client where there is no scalable thing because either they've uploaded such horrible information that it's really difficult to there's no video that's already created that shows how absolutely horrible and messed up that is. You've got to be able to go in and show them, so you can record a video of yourself and your screen and show them where the video data is, or the data is messed up, how it needs to be arranged, and then package that video up in an email and send it. Of course, the Zendesk as well has that built-in feature, and when you're there answering the ticket, whether it's in Gmail or the platform, the web app, you just click the little video button, and it's super easy to use.
Yeah, I seem to recall when we were actually being onboarded to Vidyard as a client, there were not only those live video conversations that we were having with, what was her name? It's a really interesting name. Yes, it was something Eastern European.
Yes. Marina?
And she was great live, but then she also did, she had what seemed like kind of planned video follow-up messages. And then also any issues that she wasn't able to answer that we brought up, she then researched, found the answer, and then sent us a Go video response so that we knew exactly how to do that crazy specific thing we had asked about, and she didn't happen to know off the top of her head because it was outside of the standard onboarding script. And I think that's similar to, and now that I really look at these opportunities, the way that we use video to update our client teams are also great ways to just have one-on-one conversations with our clients, like our standard point of contact, right? Our primary point of contact, whether it's about a new business opportunity or whether it's about walking them through a new contract for a new statement of work or something like that. And so there we're using the same tools to the same people that we're sending these kind of like team messages, and they're kind of scalable, but we're also using that same platform and those same abilities in a one-on-one. And we've already even talked about how to utilize video in responding to support tickets, as we were just talking about how to do like the FAQ videos. But that's, again, it's another way to kind of deepen that relationship with a customer, give them a specific answer to a specific question, right? If they've got something that is outside of that FAQ, maybe you don't have a pre-produced piece that says here's how to do this, but you can then just walk them through the actual steps, where still it's better than like writing it all out, because
it's faster.
It's faster, and you get to actually show them. I mean, in so many of these, especially with like SaaS platforms, they could be logged into the back end of your account and actually showing you the screens that you'll see and exactly how you need to change. Or even, like I was on the phone with Gusto, our payroll processor, this morning about some tax ID issues we have. And they were able to ask me to give them access, and they walked through so that I could see what they were doing.
Right.
They walked through and they just would like point on a field, and then of course I had to type it in. But I was talking to him on the phone, and we're able to just go through these changes that for some reason weren't working for me, and he was able to manipulate it enough that it actually worked.
So in that scenario, I could see how he might record that and send it to you in case anyone else in the organization has that same problem in the future.
Yeah.
Right? And now we've got our own custom FAQ video, maybe not frequently asked question because it's a very customized question.
Yeah. But
it's
a previously asked question, not a frequently asked question.
That it actually... You're going to have a whole bucket full of previously asked questions.
That could be a thing.
Yeah.
Let's make a note about on
I
that.
just want everyone to be clear that was my idea.
And I just named it.
You named it, right.
Yeah,
but
which is
Justin came up with it.
And Ben perfected it.
Ben spit-shined it.
Perfected, spit-shined. I've heard it both ways.
Yeah. My idea.
Okay. What about some other reasons to utilize video in customer success? Because outside of kind of the opportunities, I think one of the main reasons to do it is to collect all of that viewing data that you can get from clients. So whether it's individuals or scalable and mass, we talked in our last episode, the analysis episode, about which metrics to track. And so you may want to go back and listen to that episode to get a deeper understanding with some of these. But you could potentially, with your FAQ videos, I would highly recommend going back and checking the heat maps. See what sections of videos are people rewatching.
Or if they didn't watch it at all.
Or didn't watch at all. So a question, and this is where views could be more than a vanity metric, is... if you've got those, say, 10 FAQ videos that you made because you think they're the most 10 frequently asked questions, and you see that 3 of them are getting 4 times as many plays as everything else, and 2 of them actually get virtually no plays, well, then you've learned something about your customer base, and for some reason, that's not a question anymore. Maybe historically it was a question, but maybe you've done something in your onboarding that already addressed that question. So over the last year, you may have gotten that question the 6th most or whatever, but that means you don't necessarily have to have it as a frequently asked question anymore.
Or if one of those videos is getting 90% of the plays, maybe you have a user experience flaw.
Yeah.
And you could look into that feature and figure out how can we make this easier for the user if this is 90% of their problems.
And I think it works on the one-to-one too. You touched on it a little earlier, is, like, if you saw, I think your example was in the NPS part of the discussion. If you saw somebody one of your biggest clients gave you a low NPS score, well, these are the kind of metrics you can track with these things. So if you can see that an individual is maybe regularly not playing your weekly update emails from a project management standpoint, then maybe there's something going on in that relationship that needs to be addressed. Or maybe they've been taken off the project and they haven't told you or something. Like, there's an opportunity to understand what the actual people that you are communicating with, you can learn more by their actions and lack of actions than just... than you would be able to get from like an email.
Psychographic data that you can kind of gather and accumulate. And it could tell you how to better work with the client.
Yes. Yeah. And then, I think there's an SEO value to this stuff too. We
Yeah.
talk in the distribution episode about optimizing your content for SEO and basically making it so that people can find it before you're promoting it. I would do exactly the same thing here, because if your FAQ library can become the repository where people in the industries that you're selling to come to find the answers to those top level frequently asked questions, if they're more likely to find it because you've optimized the title, the description, etc., then it may even generate new opportunities for you.
That's true. It's interesting.
And so, all that stuff, and if you've got it embedded on your site, it can help your domain authority and, how the site overall is going to come up in search results. I mean, there's, the better organized it is and the more you're integrating into your site, making it easy for people to find. We've talked about that before too. It's just like the self-education part of the marketing journey. A lot of customers, I think, are doing a lot of self-educating before they reach out to someone too. I don't know the statistics like we do on, 86% of customers do, however much self-education before they feel comfortable enough reaching out to a sales rep. I imagine it's a similar number before they reach out to support. And so if they're not going to reach out to support and you're not making it easy for them to find the answers they need before they reach out to someone,
They'll find another product.
And then you have not successfully managed your churn, and that's going to affect your company's bottom line. And that's, again, we may all in our individual jobs want to create really good looking, really, creative work and all that kind of stuff, but if it's not effective, then
doesn't do it for me.
What's the point?
Right.
And we can all bring those better, shinier, bigger aspects in our individual jobs, as long as we know that the people who write our checks are really concerned about that bottom line and that revenue number. So if you can mix the two, that's great. But don't sacrifice one for the other. Okay, I think that's a decent top level discussion of customer success opportunities in video. Anything you wanted to add?
No, I just think the optimized content and improving your site's SEO because of video, that goes really, really deep. And I think we're going to open up a different podcast, a whole podcast about that.
Yeah.
Maybe even bring David in. There's some really amazing stuff that's being done that YouTube's doing right now and launching in some testing. So that would be cool to check out maybe in the future.
Yep. All right. Well, that is our discussion on video for customer success. We talked about kind of the scalable opportunities. We talked about the one-on-one opportunities. We talked about how to help manage churn and help upsell your clients by utilizing video. We had a new sponsor this week, which I'll remind everyone is Rounding Second Heavy Petting Zoo. They are opening soon on that part of 70 between Raleigh and Durham that isn't Glenwood, but also isn't Miami Boulevard yet. Where Tomcats used to be? No. RoundingSecondHeavyPettingZoo.biz. Apparently there's already a .com, a .co, and a .net. But they're not affiliated with our sponsor. So that's this episode. Thanks for listening. For you all there on the Instagram Live, I'm sorry.
We have one.
Let's check in. Who do we got here?
It's Michelle, a spouse.
Not our former project manager. Yeah, definitely wave. Oh, actual wave. I thought you meant like emoji wave. Yeah. She's wondering where her husband is. He's behind the blanket. He's got a window and some water, and the window's cracked, so he'll be fine. Okay.
All right, let's cut the podcast. Maybe we can give all of our fans a
Ooh, really?
bonus content.
Okay. All right, well, that's the end of this podcast episode. Usually we have a whole bunch of droning on banter. Maybe we'll just leave it recording while we're giving a tour.
They're not going to see it.
Yeah, so we will see you next time. And, if by November 25th or 26th we're still doing this